So we're going to take a moment and look at 7 things Jesus taught in regard to money and what he meant when he said these things and how it's relevant to us today. So number one is, he said, number one is be generous, even when it's inconvenient. Jesus said in Matthew 5, verse 42, "Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you." Okay. Well, Jesus isn't saying just like throw your money around willy-nilly. He's not saying you can't ever say no, right? He's inviting us to hold our resources in a posture that is loose, with open hands, so that in that surrendered place, in that surrendered posture, we can love people freely and not be enslaved by our money. Think about it, right? Have you ever felt the nudge to help someone, but then you hesitate because you're like, oh, well, that kind of messes with my plans to buy that new thing, or I can't quite have enough money for this if I help them? Well, Jesus is saying, love people more than your spreadsheet. Number 2, give quietly. Don't make it about you. In Matthew 6, verse 2, he says, "So whenever you give to the poor, don't sound a trumpet before you do that, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be applauded by people. Truly, I tell you, they have their reward." Have you seen those videos on the internet, on social media or YouTube, where there's like these people who like have these massive YouTube channels and huge followings of them going around like, finding people in dire straits or like homeless or whatever, and they give them something and it's all videotaped and it's all about the person doing the deed? Have you seen those videos? Well, in a world where everything gets posted or shared, Jesus flips the script. He says, give in secret. Why? Because when no one knows, there's no ego involved in that. Just obedience, just faith. If your generosity needs applause, it's probably not generosity. It's performance. But when it's just between you and the person you helped and God, it's powerful and pure. The third thing we can learn of what Jesus said about money is don't live in constant worry about money. Who's constantly worried about money? Let's raise our hands. Right? It's just the world we're in. Especially nowadays, I was saying this to someone yesterday, that my wife and I used to, or we still do, but we buy this coffee at Superstore, and, it used to be like $13 for a kilogram bag of coffee, and you might be going, well, is that good coffee? Oh, that's pretty good. But now it's literally $33 for the same bag, and that was like 2 years ago. So it just shows you like things have changed, and so it's hard to not be worried when the world has changed so drastically. But Matthew 6:25, Jesus says, "Therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Isn't life more than food and the body more than clothing?" See, Jesus knew we'd stress about money. He also knew worry doesn't fix anything. He says, look at the birds. They don't store up or panic, but your Father feeds them. And aren't you worth more than the birds? Let that sink in. Aren't you worth more than the birds? Your value isn't your paycheck or your pantry or the trampoline or the stuff in your backyard, but your Father in heaven that gives you all you need, even when the numbers don't add up. Number 4, if money has your heart, it might be time to let it go. Matthew 19, verse 21, if you want to be perfect, Jesus said to him, go sell your belongings and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. That's pretty intense, right? But Jesus tells this rich man who was doing everything right. He was doing all the actions right, doing all the works in his faith. Except he couldn't let go of his things. He was always concerned, I won't have enough, or if I let go of this, then I can't do this anymore. Or I'll just suffer if I don't have this thing that is I worked so hard for. And it wasn't really about the money, it was about control. That's what this scripture is about letting go of control and having ultimate trust in God. If Jesus asks you this morning to give away something that you hold dear, like your Milwaukee tool sets, men, or, I don't know, your mix masters, I don't know, ladies, or whatever, the things that you hold dear, maybe it's something different. I don't know. If the answer is, I'm not sure I could give that up, or probably not, that might be something that we need to take to God in prayer, right? And the fifth thing that we learn from Jesus is you can't serve two masters, so pick wisely. Matthew 6:24, Jesus said, no one can serve two masters, since either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This one's pretty straightforward, right? Jesus is saying you have to choose one or the other. One of them will rule your life. Whichever one you choose, it's going to rule your life. You choose God or money. And as people in this world, we are really, really good at compartmentalizing stuff or our lives. We're really good at God on Sunday, career or jobs Monday to Friday, and our hobbies Saturday, and then Sunday, God, right? But Jesus calls us to live wholehearted in Him every day, to sustain us, to help us and guide us with all He blesses us with, right? If money's calling the shots during the week, we might just be following or fooling ourselves, We might just be fooling ourselves on Sunday. And the sixth thing that Jesus teaches us is use money to bless people, not to impress people. See, Luke 16, verse 9, he says, and I tell you, make friends for yourself by means of worldly wealth, so that when it fails, they may welcome you into eternal dwellings. What does this mean? Well, Jesus once told this wild story about a sketchy manager who gave away his money to have friends, okay? So he was generous to a fault, and he wanted people to be his friends. So in telling the story, Jesus wasn't endorsing manipulation or dishonesty. He was teaching a kingdom principle in this story, using our temporary stuff, the things that don't really matter, but can help and bless others in that moment, right? To make an eternal difference. So don't use your money to rack things up for yourself, for your own purposes, and not use your money to lift up other people, to bless other people. Bless a family, help a friend who's struggling, or help support a cause in our community. Pay for someone's groceries. Buy a coffee for someone. These things all matter more than you think. And the last thing we'll look at, number 7, is don't let wealth trick you into thinking that you don't need God. Revelation 3:17 says this, for you say, I'm rich, I have become wealthy and need nothing, and you don't realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. Those are pretty harsh words. Jesus had some strong words for a church that thought they had it all together. Their wealth made them self-sufficient and spiritually numb. And that can happen to us too. When our bills are paid and the fridge is full, it's easy to stop praying with that sense of desperation, right? But Jesus reminds us, comfort can be dangerous. You can be rich with stuff and completely bankrupt in your soul. So why does Jesus talk about money so much? Because He cares. He cares about what we trust. He's not trying to take something from us. All right? He's trying to set us free from something that so often has a hold of us, that we want to control and hold on to. So what we can learn from Jesus so far this morning is that money in and of itself isn't evil, okay? But it's not meant to be our master.